Howdy all there in Internetsville. It's us here, fat and angry. He's fat and I'm angry. Now we're going to talk about an addendum to our little fast food conversation we had. We're going to talk about food, primarily the killing foods. The kind of foods that you know are going to put your ass in the ground, because really that's about as much as you can hope for.
Yeah. I would like to mention one thing about the last time we spoke about food. Um, I do speak of it highly in humor, but really I don't recommend people living that kind of lifestyle. Think of it like a drug addict trying to talk about his pastimes and just being amused that he survived all that kind of bullshit. So, just
As if you're getting a pep talk from like Hunter S. Thompson.
yeah, no eating 5 pounds of deep fried cheese in a pie pan. That's
Don't go eat at Black Angus Grill, as Patton Oswalt has warned us about.
yes.
The door's locked from the outside.
He-Man salad, delicious. Don't.
Bottomless trough to fried dough.
The slow death of bacon.
Slow death by bacon, you mean?
No, it's the slow death of bacon. As the fattest person in the room, I can confirm this.
Alright, we'll use those tents for the moment. Now, we were talking at a buffet, which is generally when you're talking about food, is when you're surrounded by it. It's a beautiful place, a beautiful time.
Terrible food.
Oh, do you want it done right, or do you want a lot of it?
Both.
You don't get both. There is no third option.
Well,
Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy that always picks option C when there is never a fucking option C.
I didn't pick option C. I picked the buffet. You asked me what I wanted, not what I got.
Now, to be fair, it is like one of the best buffets we got in town. It's no Golden Corral. It doesn't have the variety. But when it comes to Asian buffets, it's the one that we hold above all the other ones. For it is good. Their main food, which are those really tiny fried noodles, or those really thin fried noodles. I could just take that whole trough and just eat it until my stomach ruptured. That's how fucking good it is. And of course, they got hibachi grill, they got sushi, they got like all the main food groups. Grease, fat, salt, and lard.
They're not very big on cheese. They need to work on that, though.
Well, they have plenty of it, it's just not good. Their macaroni and cheese, which I don't know how you fuck that up, but man, they fucked that up.
I like their macaroni.
Well, you have long since destroyed all the taste buds on your tongue through heavy grease and hot foods.
You do not disrespect the grease buddy in this house. You can disrespect it in the bathroom. You do not disrespect it in the house.
Still an apartment, it's not a house.
Quit crushing my dreams, all right? I'm 30-something. I should be in a house by now. Just let me use the word.
Dude, no one in their 30s has a house by now, unless, they've murdered someone. Or they've won the lottery. Or they happen to be some douchebag CEO for a company.
I'm going to make you drink my tears.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Imagine that'd be like all oily and unpleasant.
I imagine it would taste like Sprite with bacon grease.
Bacon flavored Sprite. Another nod to Patton Oswalt. He should do more comedy specials. I wonder when his next one's going to come out. Anyway, so we're sitting there, and eventually we were talking about food, and one of the things that we suddenly came up with was the idea of pizza that has gone entirely too far. When you have just completely lost your fucking mind about what pizza is and should be, and decide, you know what? I hate people and I want them to die. And how can I do this without going to prison? Food.
Yes.
So, something that just kind of rolled off the mind was the deep dish pot pie pizza. So you take a pizza, you put your favorite toppings on it. You can even go just basic. Say it's just a pizza with pepperoni. Now you take that pizza, and while the dough is still soft, you put it in a pot pie pan. Now it needs to be a pretty good sized pan to fit the pizza in there, depending on the size of the pizza. You don't want no little pissant pizza in there. This ain't no personal pizza. This is a good sized pizza, at least about like what, 14 inches?
At least.
At least. So you put it in a pan. You got to make sure that it doesn't break. You want the pizza dough to slide in and fill all the corners. But you want to make sure it stays intact. Then you take all the parts for a chicken pot pie and you throw it in the pan on top of the pizza. Now you need to make sure that the pizza toppings are facing face up. Now once you've done this, you take another pizza, similar size, probably a bit smaller since it doesn't have to stretch as much, and you place it face down on top of this to get your top crust. And then you bake and you wait. When it finally comes out, you're good to go. Good to go out in style because you aren't living after you eat that. You're not. I don't care who you are. I don't even think Muscle's glasses could survive after eating that. You eat every last bite and you don't share with anyone.
Well,
because once you've gotten this, you gotta fucking commit. You can't go half-ass on this.
you gotta go whole ass.
Yeah, you don't just eat a slice of a pot pie. That's baby shit. You eat the whole goddamn thing.
Well, I'm not too sure like how the calories, the sodium, and all that will kill you because I've done some pretty horrendous things. But I have eaten pot pie, and I love pot pie. I love pot pie at least 2 hours after you put it in the oven because of the lava mouth that ensues. Because if you don't wait at least 2 hours, it's made of lava. And you burn off layers of your mouth. And if you're going to eat this whole pizza pot pie fresh out the oven, you are essentially pouring 2 liters of lava down your mouth with pizza to fill out the corners. And I think the lava will eventually burst through your stomach and start pouring out your belly button. And then, they kick you out of the shoe store that you chose to eat this thing. I don't know why you chose to eat it at a shoe store. You people in the audience are fucking weird, but that's what you chose to do. I have no control over that.
I've always thought like if you eat something that is like white, it's like people who drink coffee fresh out of the pot. That shit's way too hot. It's like I put like a cube of ice in my coffee so that like when I drink it, it doesn't just melt a hole through the bottom of my jaw. But like something like that would just is like fucking lava. It won't just burn your tongue off. It'll literally dissolve your bottom jaw until you look like that one girl from The Ring. You're gonna end up like Baron Underbite without the fucking metal jaw. It's just gonna be as all that shit dissolves your flesh like wax.
That should be like a torture technique for the FBI. Just feed somebody pot pie after pot pie. Do you know where the bombs are? Eat the pie. Now do you know where the bombs are? Eat the pie.
Sounds like you're thinking of the KGB.
Well, we've learned things from them. The accent's important.
I wonder how much vodka the Russians put into their pot pies. Potato pot pies. Made out of only potato. I don't know what Russians eat. I'm assuming they just drink vodka. That's like, they get all their bodily nutrients from that.
I assumed it was mostly bear meat, but...
that they have to wrestle themselves.
Yes.
You gotta fucking do a Zangief. If you ain't Zangief strong, then you don't get to survive in Russia.
Exactly. Russian pride. When I've seen pictures of Russian women dragging tanks, I know that they are quality people.
Well, they're quality something. I don't know if you can classify them as people anymore.
That might be a little too political.
Well, it's like, there's a lot of them. I mean, it's Russia. It's like China. It's like they say in Risk. You can't hold like that landmass in Risk. It's just impossible. So never try to invade the Asias. Japan didn't learn this. Ah, well. Anyway, what else? Let's see. Oh, the original idea I had was like of a pizza that's just fucking big enough that you could literally put like a whole personal pot pie on like each slice.
Yeah, well, I was thinking like those little microwavable personal size pot pies, make a pizza and you can stick at least 6 of those in.
Like, and just cut like 6 equal slices.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, no, the
maybe-
logistics of that wouldn't be too good. So, like the other idea of just making the pizza, or taking 2 pizzas and taking the pot pie mix and making a whole pot pie out of that, sounds like it would work better in the physics department. Logistically, it seems more sound, but I don't have the money to get all the ingredients to fucking try this myself. Plus, I do intend to like live for a bit longer. If I ever get terminal cancer, you bet that's gonna be like one of the things I'm gonna like make for myself and eat.
Or you could just take the easy route, put it all in a blender, and guzzle it down in.
Real food people don't go the easy route. You either go big or you go home.
I'm already big.
You can always go bigger.
I don't want to.
It's like you are big and you are at home. Where else can I possibly go?
I'm already sitting down. I ain't going nowhere. That involves walking. Fuck that.
Now, one thing that a mutual friend of ours, I will continue to refer to him as a mutual friend until we get his permission to actually mention his name, or he gives us a proper alias, like as he goes by Fat and I go by Angry.
So in the meantime, we will call him Chad.
No. I don't want to disgrace him by giving him a name like Chad. No offense to all the Chads out there, but the name's it's Chad. I'm sorry. You're named after a thing that was a big issue back in the 2000 election. I'm sorry, but you've had this coming. But that is name prejudice aside. Our mutual friend, we used to come up with all kinds of heinous food ideas. And one thing I remember talking about wasn't so much a horrible food idea so much as it was just a concept. When I was in high school and when I first got into college, the George Foreman grills were a huge thing.
Oh yeah, I had one of those.
Everyone did. I think it was like as a law at some point. It's like the man's got like how many sons, all named George? He needs the money. As like, to fund ways to figure out how to distinguish them in conversation.
Now, one thing that was great about the Foreman grills is you had this little tray that would collect the grease for you.
That was your dipping sauce.
Well, yeah, you make your burger, it gets all the grease out in the little tray, and you can just pour it right back on the burger. It's wonderful.
It makes its own au jus.
Au jus is not allowed to be a word. It's a terrible word.
I don't even know what it means. I just know that it means just like,
They can use gravy like normal fucking people. Hate pretentious bullshit like au jus. No, it's gravy. It's the sauce that leaked out the meat. That's gravy or grease.
it's meat juice.
Yeah.
We done squeezed the meat and this is what came out.
The British got it right. Any liquid you pour on the food is fucking gravy. They don't distinguish. It is gravy. If you pour liquid jam on your pancakes, it is jam gravy.
Never heard about that, but whatever. Like, the George Foreman grills, they were everywhere. Everyone fucking knew about them. Everyone saw the commercials with George Foreman. And,
The lean, mean, fat-reducing grilling machine.
I just remember, like, thinking, like, they could have taken that so much further. Just, like, to the extreme. Just, like, George Foreman, because, like, the whole slogan was, it knocks out the fat. It's like, George Foreman grills, it knocks out the fat. And I used to, like, we used to talk, it's like, George Foreman grills. It doesn't just knock out the fat, it follows it home and murders its whole family. And so I got into my head, like, 2 different advertisement routes I could take for this. One would be like you get a bunch of people and you put them in these big like fat suits, and on the suits you just like put the word fat like on the suit so we can distinguish that this is fat. And don't make them wear clothes or anything. Just have them wearing like these full body fat suits to like just better dehumanize them. Shows like like a fucking Delta Force team like take surveillance footage of one of them going to its home. They fucking show up in the dead of night with night vision goggles, and you get like this, like a fucking GoPro with night vision view, as like they kick in the front door, and just run into all the bedrooms and just viciously gun down the entire family, just going room by room. Like maybe like like one of the family members tries to jump out a window, and like they just start jabbing him with the bayonets until he falls out, and then they drop a grenade down just to be sure, because I can't take any chances.
Just like sprays of butter instead of blood going everywhere.
Just like cellulite flying out of all the bullet holes.
Ugh.
And the other one I just imagined was just like more of just like a silly way, like you see someone with like these big yellow blobs labeled fat, and just smashing them with a meat tenderizer, shooting them with a gun, like lighting them on fire, shoving them violently into a garbage
It would get
disposal.
like Gallagher with the sledge-o-matic and just smash the wads of fat.
Or just something like.
Get like some ballistic jelly and just label it fat and have him smash it with a hammer.
Oh, it'd be like, like if you're, God, I don't know if it was like Saturday Night Live or what, but there used to be those old Mr. Bill sketches.
Yeah.
It was like, God, I just remember those vaguely because it was so long ago. Mr. Bill used to be this thing, it was like this little claymation figure. It was supposed to be like a mock up of Gumby, and like bad things would happen to him, and he would be destroyed. All the while screaming, "Oh no!" as he was like violently just mangled into just a pile of multicolored clay.
Yeah, I remember those.
I think he was a spokesman for some sort of like ad thing at some point.
I don't remember all the details. I just remember my evil stepmother was really amused by that. Oh no! So
Well, she was evil, so she probably enjoyed watching others in pain, even if they were artificial.
yeah, that was probably the case.
I remember once when I was working.
I should make her eat that pot pie.
If she's still alive, one is like we can hope that she's not, and like frankly, I could think of more unpleasant ways that we could deal with her.
Honestly, I just would want it to be over quick. The sooner, the better. The less harm she could do.
The less chance she could like somehow take revenge with just her sheer bitch powers.
Yeah, just feed her 42 fugu livers at once. Just force feed them with a plunger, and then shoot her in the back of the head, and then drag her body out into a field where you run over it with a lawnmower, and then set the field on fire, and salt the earth so that no plants may grow with her bitter intent.
Bitter intent, nice. Let's see, like what else? What else for like the killing foods?
Uh, well, I've got a mutual friend at work, and I will call him Chad.
Fine, you can call him Chad because I do not know this Chad.
You know this Chad.
Do I?
Yes. His name's not Chad, but I'm calling him Chad for now. Anyway, he really loves a local chain we have. By chain, there's only 2 links to it, but hey, I'm going to call it a chain anyway. It's a neat store called Rocket Fizz, and they serve.
Rocket Fizz. That's like a nationwide chain. I found out.
Really, I heard there was only 2 stores.
Oh, well, maybe in Corpus. I don't know if there's a second one, but apparently, like Rocket Fizz is all over the nation. There's a giant one, apparently the size of like a fucking warehouse, apparently in Washington, where JD used to be. I can say JD because like I've only known the guy as JD. That's not his given Christian name. I don't fucking remember what his given Christian name is, so I'm just gonna call him by his nickname, which is JD.
All right. Well, yeah. When I looked into it, I heard there was one in San Antonio, and that was it. But okay, so there's more. Cool. More power to you. People, go eat there. It's delicious. He likes the maple bacon taffy too much. What he likes to do is buy all the bacon flavored candy he can get his hands on.
Which there is a lot.
Yeah.
There's even bacon flavored soda over there. I've tried it. Wasn't impressed.
I had it too. To me, it tasted kind of like apples, not bacon. But
to me, it tasted like bacon bits. It even dried out my mouth. It was like my mouth is getting dried out by liquid. How can this be?
Oh, the worst soda I had there was the ranch dressing.
Yeah, that was also like I was also nonplussed by that.
At first, it almost tastes like coconut, and then the further it goes down your mouth, the more it has the ranch flavor, and the deeper you go in the bottle, the more ranch flavor it gets. And
you can already drink ranch. It's already a liquid.
Well, I am a sucker for weird drinks, and I decided to try one of the gross ones.
Oh, me too. I'm a sucker for weird drinks too. It's like every time we go there, we always get we each get one, and we try to get a different one.
Yeah.
I got a collection of some of the ones that I've already had in my car.
I've got enough trash in my house to pick up. But anyway, he was telling me he took some of this bacon taffy and wrapped it up in bacon cotton candy. He then wrapped it up in real bacon. He then deep fried and battered it, and like made some sort of cheese dip with bacon to dip these things in. And I just kind of patted him on the back and said, "It was nice knowing you, sir," because he will die the slow death of bacon. I've done some pretty extreme things, but when he tells me about his recipes, he's beat me. He has beat me.
You win.
I am not going to challenge this mountain of a man to gross out eating contest. Now, I have done some pretty crazy things. Obviously, the Grease Buddy was one of my favorites, and a lot of people love that one. Another one I make is what I call the Mac and Fuck. And my stepson asked me, why do you call it Mac and Fuck? And I said, because it's Mac and whatever the fuck I put in it. And usually this one...
It's not a set recipe. It's just like mac and cheese and whatever, like,
whatever
scrapings you can get.
Yeah, whatever the fuck I throw in it. Be it like weenie tots and chicken nuggets, or Parmesan cheese and mushrooms, or, all four of those. And then I
Or
will...
just whatever we can scrape off the bottom of, like, the grease trap.
I'm not that bad. But I will put ingredients that you normally wouldn't mix, like, tuna and chicken nuggets or something crazy like that. I've done hot dog pieces, mushrooms, and black olives.
I probably wouldn't be a fan of the black olives part, but whatever, that's just me.
Yeah. I really can't think of everything I've done for a mac and fuck recipe, but basically, it's what it says, mac and whatever the fuck I put in there.
Now that reminds me of something that our mutual friend used to introduce me to. Something that his father taught him. He calls it wolf's meal. I said, what's that? He said, you get white rice, and the cheapest rice you can get by the pound. It's like the poor bachelor's food, because you can make a lot of it for not too much. And you get like hamburger meat, or just any type of like ground up meat, like low grade, doesn't matter. And you cook it all up in a pot, and then you just mix it together. And if you put a decent amount of seasonings like pepper and salt and stuff like that, and like other stuff like maybe some cumin or a little bit of pepper, cayenne pepper or like other stuff, you can really flavor it up, and it's pretty good. Now you can add a little bit of cheese to this, make it even better. One thing we found that really helped it was some A1 sauce. You put a decent amount of that in there, you can really get this shit going. I found that with mac and cheese of the Velveeta and Kraft variety, you can really improve on those with a bit of A1 sauce, A1 steak sauce. People have said that I am clinically insane for that, but if I'm clinically insane, it's for many other things besides that. But like adding some A1 steak sauce to some mac and cheese really gives it a good kick. It gives it a lot of flavor. It gives it a good tanginess. And you just like, oh god, you can't get enough of that shit. It's like I can eat like a whole like dinner thing of mac and cheese with some A1 steak sauce in there, to the point where my stomach hurts after I've eaten it all, and I'm just looking around at the bottom of this pot trying to scrape the last bits of cheese and sauce out of it. Like, where's the rest of it? I was sure there was more. I just came back to this. There was more the last time I looked, and now it's gone.
Well,
you ever tried that? Putting some A1 sauce with mac and cheese?
Depends on what I'm cooking. Like, if I add sausage to macaroni and cheese, I don't object to putting barbecue sauce in there. I don't buy A1 specifically because it's pretty expensive around here, and I'd rather just pay for cheap barbecue sauce. To me, it doesn't make enough of a difference.
Well, there's a difference between barbecue sauce and steak sauce, and there is some generic brand steak sauce you can get.
Yeah, but nonetheless, to me, it doesn't really have much of a difference in flavor. I can acknowledge one as superior, but it's not different enough for me to pay the extra money. Usually when I buy barbecue sauces, I'll look for like what kind of spices they're throwing in there. Particularly if it's like certain Cajun spices. But otherwise, yeah, I just, I'll buy like one sweet and one spicy generic barbecue sauce.
When it comes to the difference between barbecue and steak sauce, I find steak sauces to be tangy, and barbecue sauces tend to be sweet. That's probably why there's so many of like honey barbecue sauce. We put honey in our barbecue sauce. Like if I fucking wanted honey on my meat, I'd fucking put honey on my meat. I don't want fucking honey on my barbecue sauce. But that's just me. I'm not a huge fan of honey. I know people. It's like, how can you not like honey? It's like it's fucking easy. I do it every day.
Well, I find it weird just because of how much of a sweet tooth you have.
Well, I don't like it doesn't. I don't like the taste. It doesn't. It's like we've had this argument before, and I'm very adamant. Honey is sweet, but it still tastes like honey. Honey has a flavor. If I add sugar to something, it's going to taste sweeter. If I add honey to something, it's not going to taste sweeter. It's going to taste like it has honey in it. I can very distinctly tell that when there's something has honey.
Yeah.
Like if someone gives me something with honey, it's like, there's honey in this, isn't there? It's like, yeah. It's like, you fucked up. You have fucked up, sir. It's like when someone gives me like, something's like, and it's red, and it's like, is this strawberry flavored or is this cherry flavored? It's like, it's the same thing. If you have a fucking massive head injury, it is. If you have a gaping head wound, it is. They may be similar colors, but they don't fucking taste anything like each other. If you can't tell the difference between cherry and strawberry, you're a fucking moron.
Well, if you want to tell by artificial color, cherry is usually a darker red, where strawberry tends to be closer to pink.
But but that's like when they actually distinguish. Like if you're going through like Starburst candy, they do that.
Yeah. However, strawberry also tends to be very close to the colors they will use for raspberry, unless it's blue raspberry.
No, I do prefer raspberry over strawberry, and I fucking hate cherry. I hate cherry shit. I don't like it, which sucks because everyone else likes cherry. Whenever I was sick, my parents like, we know you don't like the taste of medicine, so we got you this medicine. Well, what is it? It's like, well, here, try it. It's like, this tastes like shit. It's like, well, how can you say that? It's cherry flavor. It's like, because cherries taste like shit.
I'm not a big fan of cherry myself, unless you're talking about like the real fruit. If it's real cherries physically there, I don't count maraschino cherries as real. To me, those are more like candy.
Maraschino cherries, the petroleum byproduct of cherries.
Yeah, I don't know if those are like just cherries that have been pickled, or if it's like a real cherry that they...
Like a breed of cherry? Like, because there's different types of, breeds or strains, whatever you want to fucking call different types.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a type of cherry that they just decide can only be served in corn syrup. And, there's green and there's red ones, and they don't taste any different. Is it just like a different dye they put in there, or they're literally green?
Maybe they're just not as ripe. I don't know.
That would usually affect the flavor, though. Of course, the corn syrup they soak in is bound to kill any of the original flavor.
It's like, hey, do you like maraschino cherries? Well, you don't fucking know, because all you're tasting is corn syrup, dummy.
Yeah, but...
You've never tasted a maraschino cherry, have you? You've tasted corn syrup.
Now, I have a similar hatred of grape that you do with cherry, because that was the flavored medicine my parents gave me. And if you give me...
I would have fucking given you all of my cherry medication if they had given me all the grape.
Yeah.
I like grapes. Now, granted, you can still taste the medicine, but the grape is like a flesh wound, whereas a cherry is like a stab directly into a vital organ.
Well, real grapes, yeah, I'll eat them. And I once had this carrot cake that was made with frozen grapes instead of raisins. And
that sounds fucking awesome.
It was amazing.
Because fuck raisins.
It was amazing. I had sex with the cake, and it was good. And my coworkers,
I don't want it anymore.
And my coworkers, they didn't understand, and so I ate their cake and continued having sex with mine. So I got to eat my cake and have it too.
You sick fuck.
But artificial grape flavor, like grape sodas and stuff, I usually want to throw up after drinking them because it reminds me of the medicine, especially if.
No, that's a Pavlovian. If that's a Pavlovian response, I can understand that. I actually do like artificial flavored grape stuff, like a grape soda. I will tear up a grape soda.
Well, grape juice I'm good with. But speaking of grape soda, so me and my stepson were at Walmart, and there's a 2 liter purple wrapper, and in white letters going up diagonally it says grape. There is no ingredient list on this thing whatsoever. No sugar, no caffeine, nothing. Just says grape.
Sounds like a generic brand.
I'm sure it was. I don't picture this being like a mainstay name brand. But, yeah, one side says grape, other side says grape. No logo, no other colors, just grape. And it's 56 cents. What a deal! So, we buy one of these things, and we're drinking it on the way home, and we're drinking it warm because this was stored in the dry aisle. The drink itself is purple, the fizz is blue, and both of us are just feeling seriously vomitous as we're drinking this, and we just kind of keep passing it forth and chugging as much down as we can, trying to down the vomit sensation with more of this grape soda, and eventually both of us just go like barfing out the window. I'm barfing on one side while driving, he's barfing on the other, and there just happens to be a jogger nearby as he is blowing purple chunks out the window. And so after we get through blowing our chunks,
and destroying someone's day.
And we continue to drink this stuff until we get
Because
home.
why not? We've only had positive reinforcement thus far.
Well, we've only drinking 23 cents worth, so we need to finish getting our value.
I paid slightly more than $50. I am not going to rest until I've gotten my money's worth.
I hate wasting food.
I'm the same way. I don't know. I wasn't raised poor, but it's something I picked up. My parents didn't even instill it in me. My parents were never like, clean your plate because there's starving children in fucking Africa that would like love to get their hands. I was gonna say Ebola was a country in Africa. Like that's like the one fucking country in Africa you just never set foot on.
There's children starving in Ebola. Well,
I was probably thinking of Ethiopia is what I fucking meant to say, but that's not what was going to come out.
yeah, your brain is not in the mood to be civil today. That's why you're angry.
It's never in the mood to be civil.
Yeah. Well, my actual parents, they were never, clean your plate. Basically, if I didn't like something, I got to throw it away. Because they weren't going to sit there and argue with me for an hour on end about it. But I've had relatives, and then some of my step-parents afterwards were like that. And I remember the first time I got told that there was children starving in Africa, I think it was by my aunt. My first thought, I didn't say it because I knew I was going to get my teeth slapped out, but my first thought was, well, then send it to them. They're going to be
It's
so...
like me eating it isn't going to help them be not starving.
Yeah, if they're going to be so grateful, you send them the goulash.
You send them this fucking gruel.
I will happily be less hungry eating the rest of this stuff on my plate than just not hungry.
A thought just came into my head, a rather disgusting one, but fuck it, we're here. It's like,
no turning back now.
If they really want to, help starving children in other countries, they should just offer free liposuction to the stereotypical fat Americans, and then use the fat to ship overseas and say bon appetit. Now you can really feast yourself off of The fat of Americans.
The fat of the land.
I don't know if that would be like something that would like help other countries or just start a war.
I'm thinking war.
It's like, you think this is a good thing?
But
You come up with a solution then, fuckhead. I don't see you growing shit.
But that does bring me to a joke I used to tell, though. When I was in high school, I would ask randomly of people I knew, and sometimes just people I didn't. It's a great question for a bus stop. Are you going to be buried or cremated? And they would usually give me the answer or look at me weird. And I would say, I want to go a different route. I'm going to be deep fried. And at my funeral, there will be a great barbecue with sausage and assorted meats for everyone. And as my body is lowered into the vat of grease and pulled from it, we shall divide it into even pieces, fill it into Happy Meal boxes, and ship it to a starving country. I will feed a nation.
And they shall build statues of me.
Out of their mud huts.
Now,
Okay, now, no disrespect to those impoverished countries and such.
yeah, they have a bad enough time as it is, really.
Yeah, jokes and bad taste aside.
If you had better taste, why the fuck are you on here anyway? It's like YouTube or anywhere else. If you ever like click on anything on YouTube, you throw good taste out the fucking window. I don't care who you are.
The moment you have an account on YouTube, you are officially a monster.
A demonstrative person. Heinous.
Beastly.
Defiler.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, that aside, that public service announcement aside,
Now,
in case you didn't know, we're here to help.
now, hopefully this won't seem too disrespectful, but
Oh, we're well beyond that.
yeah, but this is a curiosity I've always had. When you're in these like impoverished places, I realize that you don't have the best of resources, but when you're literally making your houses out of the resources of the land and not like actual buildings with plumbing and electricity and stuff like that, why don't you pick up a stick and move? I mean, surely there has to be like a place out in the wild with better resources, less malaria, things like that. I just imagine myself thinking, whenever 1 in 5 people ends up with tumorous legworms from drinking the water,
What water?
I think I would rather pick up a stick and take my risk with a lion than continue to live there. Now, I don't know the full story or the situation, but those are my thoughts.
Well, it depends on different places. To be perfectly honest, to my understanding, a couple of reasons that they don't do that is A, their safety in numbers. B, could be paramilitary forces, private military forces, bandits, militia groups, any just sort of assembled groups of armed, very aggressive people that would be more than happy to just carve you up just for the fun of it.
No, that's a fair thought there.
And there's like unfortunately there's a lot of places that I've heard of that are starving, not because of lack of resources. They grow their own food. They have their own food and water, but just all of their resources are regularly seized either by state or by anti-state armed forces. So the civilians are left with absolutely nothing. There's also the fact of, yes, there can be like, creatures out there like big fucking animals and shit that will eat the shit out of you. It could be that there's no place within walking distance they can go to support themselves. It could be that they don't want to get lost and end up in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, starve and dehydrate to death. It's just like thousands of different reasons. And sometimes it's just like, it's on them, like the stubbornness is like, my family was raised here and I will live here and I shall raise my family here. It's like, yeah, but diminishing resources. It might have been nicer back in those days. It's a shithole now.
Yeah.
There used to be Sam Kinison used to have the big argument that this being Sam Kinison, who's long since dead, and who used to do his comedy like way back in the day. But even back then, he used to say that like all those starving people in deserts, they should just pick up their shit and move. It's like stop bringing the food to them, have them go to where the food is. We have deserts in America, we just don't live in them. Which is a lie. We do have people that live in the deserts. Just they're generally like rich, eclectic assholes or squatters.
You live in a desert.
You know what's here? It's sand. You know what's gonna be here in 1,000 years? It's gonna be fucking sand. But enough social commentary. Back to foods.
Yeah, this one's probably going to end up on the private stock rather than the public release at this rate.
Or we can just edit out all that bit. You want to do that?
I think we're well beyond just editing a bit. But, hey, we'll keep going.
Well, this may end up on here eventually. But let's see.
Once we have enough fans to defend us.
Now, killing foods. One thing that I have to think about is someone who's done something similar to this before, Michael Swaim of Crack TV fame. He did a video years ago, one of our mutual friends' favorite videos that he loves bringing up, and it's a good one, where he talks about the worst foods condoned by society, and the number 2 on that list is the Double Down for KFC. Now, apparently it was nationally advertised, but it was only available in the South. So we got that. Did you ever get to eat one?
No, I didn't want one because I don't think nacho cheese goes good with chicken.
No, it didn't have nacho cheese. It had like some sort of like other kind of cheese, to my understanding.
All the advertisements I saw made it look like nacho cheese. They may have wanted to imply that the cheese was melted, but
yeah, that's probably what it was. I think it was some kind of a white cheese. Could have been Swiss or like just a white cheddar, Parmesan, something like that. I thought it was Parmesan. It seems like
Parmesan would have been good.
That would have been like too ritzy for KFC.
Chicken, Parmesan, and bacon. Yeah, I'd eat the hell out of it.
I don't think the Colonel would abide by Parmesan. Sounds too eye-tie for his taste.
Actually, when I make deep-fried and battered food, I usually add Parmesan to the flour. It's fucking good.
Well, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying I don't think that Colonel Sanders would abide.
The Colonel drank a beer with Alice Cooper. I think he'll abide by just about anything.
Now, for those of you who either don't remember or lived up north, Double Down was a grilled chicken patty, boneless, a chicken breast, I believe, cheese, 3 strips of bacon, some of the signature Colonel secret sauce, another layer of cheese, and a breaded chicken patty, and that is it. Like Patton Oswalt once famously said, it's not so much a sandwich as it is a wad. Now, I actually managed to get this. I only got one for a couple of reasons. One, I just wanted to taste it. 2, we don't really have a lot of KFCs here in Corpus.
That would be another reason I didn't go and try one. It's just I'm not a big fan of KFC.
There's only 2 KFCs that I'm aware of. There might be more, but there's only 2 I'm aware of. There's one that's close to downtown. Not in downtown, but close to downtown. Like, you got to pass it if you're going towards downtown. It's near Del Mar College.
That's the one I know about.
Yeah, which is not bad because sometimes during the week they have a buffet. Which is like, do you like mashed potatoes and fried chicken? Do you want to eat mashed potatoes and fried chicken until your heart stops? We got you covered.
Yeah, but they never put any white meat out on the buffet.
Yeah, they do. They have chicken breasts there. Like,
never.
Shitload of it.
When I go, they will never put white meat.
I've been there when they, towards the end, and, there was no chicken. It was just sides. And I'm like, I guess I'm eating sides. But I do enjoy my sides. I do enjoy my mashed potatoes, brown gravy, corn, green beans, fried okra, all that shit. I'll eat the hell out of that stuff. Hell, you want to talk about being a side hog. Macaroni and cheese, it's supposed to be a side. No, that's a fucking meal if you have enough of it. Anything can be a meal if you have enough of it, but And the only other one I know of is a non-full menu one. It's a KFC A&W mix that's down Saratoga on the south side.
Yeah, there's also one in Portland. I don't know its location.
Oh yeah, but that's Portland. That's technically not Corpus, so that's across the bridge.
Yeah. Well, it's Corpus enough.
What we're referring to is Corpus sits on a bay, sitting right smack near the Gulf of Mexico, right on the coast. And the way it's situated is that we're on the south side of this big inlet that leads into Texas, which is why Corpus is one of the major ports. And the port is pretty much the only fucking reason that Corpus is on any maps you might ever see. But if you go across the harbor bridge, which is the big bridge that spans across this inlet that leads into the harbor, you end up into North Beach, which is still part of Corpus. And then if you go across another bridge, you end up in Portland. Now, Portland is technically its own town, but it's often referred to as just like Northern Corpus by some people. It's not officially part of Corpus. A lot of places around here, a lot of the suburbs, got annexed by Corpus Christi, whether they like to admit it or whether they are aware of or not.
Yeah.
For a while, Corpus was like Germany back in the late 30s. They were just scooping up everybody, whether they liked it or not.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in Flower Bluff that don't like to acknowledge they're part of Corpus, but
There's a lot of people in Corpus that don't like to acknowledge Flower Bluff as part of Corpus. Because that tends to be where all the crackheads and heroin addicts tend to congregate.
yeah, well, it was my home once.
There's a lot of people's home once, and a lot of people who live there generally end up there eventually. You'll probably end up being sucked back there. The hellmouth that exists under it is unforgiving.
When I finally get a house.
It's in the bluff, but we all knew this was coming. Once in the bluff, if you are in the bluff at any point living there, you will die there.
Maybe I can get my mom's old house. I tried digging the backyard until I find my old storm shadow figure. There's a sad story.
Yeah, but the Double Down, I was not impressed by it. One thing I am impressed by that you said you didn't like, and you're free to not like it, not all people like it, but a local chain that was born out of Corpus, I think in 1950 or 1951. I think it was 1950. Whataburger, which is phrased "what a burger," Whataburger. Most people pronounce it as water burger, but no, they do not use water to make their burgers.
Yeah. I think the Waterburger thing comes from the first one was actually located on the bay. So
I thought the first one was where they got that recreation of the first one there, which is down Alameda.
well, we actually used to have this, I forget what it's called, but there was like this bridge that went out into the water from the beach, and the Waterburger was on that. And
Oh yeah, there was one that was like right there on one of the T heads, I think, leading up to like,
T-heads, that's what they're called, yeah.
yeah. Corpus has these giant concrete T-shaped projections that protrude out from downtown. They're called the T heads because they're shaped like T's. They act as big ports for like not big ports, but like they act as like a place where people can put their little like yachts and schooners and like their minor ships out there. You're not going to see a big ass commercial ship out there. The biggest ship I can think of that's out there is Landry Seafood, which is literally a boat restaurant. But the reason they're there is to break up a storm surge were a hurricane ever to completely just rush up the main gut of Corpus downtown.
Yeah.
Whether or not they would actually do that is unknown. But
yeah, as far as burgers go, it is probably the closest you will get to like a burger house burger going to a fast food restaurant.
yeah, like the Whataburgers they're generally larger than most like mainstream places, and they just have a meatier taste. The buns don't taste as good as like some place like Burger King or something like that, in my opinion. They don't taste bad. They just taste different, just not as good. And but like if you want a big fast food burger, and you're in Texas, South Texas in particular, you go to fucking Whataburger. Now something needs to be seasonal there. They finally put it on the regular menu, and the only reason I don't get it every day is because I enjoy living. is called the Honey Barbecue Chicken Strip Sandwich. Now, I know it's going to sound funny me talking about this after I was just shitting all over honey, but you really don't taste the honey in the honey barbecue in this one because there's too many other badass flavors that are overriding it. Now, what this is, it's a hamburger bun.
Well, actually, you get it with a hamburger bun. It usually comes on Texas toast.
They originally marketed it with a hamburger bun. Then they changed the marketing to Texas toast, which is just this really thick bread that's toasted that I fucking hate because when you bite into it, it's like biting into a rock. It's not as hard as a rock, but like it claws up your gums something fucking fierce because it just comes out in jagged, sharp edges. It's like I don't need to have bleeding gums when I'm trying to enjoy my fucking burger. And also, it just doesn't taste as good. I don't know what it is. It's still like a hamburger bun and Texas toast is still the same thing. It's bread. But for some reason, you put a honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich on Texas toast and it tastes like ass. I don't know why. It just does. Fucking physics, I guess. I don't know. So anyway, it's a hamburger bun. It's 3 strips of chicken. 3 chicken strips, bread and everything. Monterey Jack cheese, honey barbecue sauce, and then the other bun. Or maybe the honey barbecue sauce goes between cheese. Anyway, they all get mixed up. This stuff, I know it's just a sandwich with chicken strips instead of like a regular like chicken breast or anything, but fuck is it good. Fuck is it good. And because it's 3 different chicken breasts, you can actually go through the sandwich twice. You can like start at one chicken strip and chew your way down that. You still got 2/3 of your burger left. So then you work your way down the middle, and you got 1/3 left, and then you eat that. Almost like a hot dog, the last one. And just that barbecue sauce dripping out of it, and the cheese just melts instantly on the hot chicken strips. It's made of happiness. It is a sandwich made out of fucking happiness.
I don't care for it too much just because the physics of eating it, uh, it's too much effort. You have to be, like, careful about how you bite into it, otherwise your chicken pieces just start falling out of the sandwich. And
I've already found my way to get through it.
yeah, well, like, you enjoy it. But also, I've just never been too impressed with their chicken strips. It is my luck that every time I go there and get chicken strips, they will find a chicken strip that's been broken into 2 pieces because the bag was mishandled or whatever, and they will try to pass that off to me as 2 chicken strips. So
it's like 2 halves.
yeah.
It's like, so great, I'm getting half the food now.
Yeah, so not only, are they trying to jip me out of the chicken, but when you fry those broken pieces, because they're not the proper size and they've got an opening in them, it dries it out into a husk a lot faster. And so the consistency of the chicken is a lot harder and more rubbery than it should be. And
Yeah, I've had that happen on regular chicken strips. That does suck.
yeah, and so yeah, it is always my luck with the chicken strips there. And so
I don't think they usually do that with the chicken strip sandwich because they know that if they
they do it with mine. I guarantee you.
maybe they just don't like you because like they've never done it with mine. Usually I get pretty good sized chicken strips because I guess if you get like one like small half one like that, it's gonna make the thing look outwardly wonky, and then that's gonna make people complain and say they want a different sandwich. They want one that looks like the one in the picture, and so you get the whole fucking argument like Homeboy from Falling Down.
Yeah.
Look at that picture. It's delicious, juicy burger. And look at this sad, squashed thing. Can anyone tell me what's wrong with this? And that one black kid. There his parents just slowly raises his hand. I want to know what he said.
Yeah. Well, I'm not normally one to complain about food at fast food places. Even when they mess up my order, if it's something I can fix, I just deal with it. But there's been a few times that, they come up with a problem that I can't fix, or they just do something blatantly obvious, like giving me a fraction of the food that I'm supposed to get. And So I will take it back, and I hate being in that situation because working at a fast food place, I know generally most of the time when somebody comes to complain about food, the cashiers or the people involved don't believe them, start judging them, and what have you. I don't, but I know what it's like to be on the other side of the counter. So I try to be polite in these situations, but I just hate it. Like I hardly ever go to Burger King unless it's like not on my dollar, uh, because they will always screw up my burger. And I remember one time they had a special burger, and the picture clearly had bacon on it. And I get my sandwich, and it doesn't have bacon. Now, the picture, bacon is just like overflowing in this thing, and I'm not expecting them to make a bacon extravaganza.
It's the Clubhouse Bacon Burger. No, sir, it doesn't have bacon. But it says the Clubhouse Bacon better.
Yeah, but
that's a misprint on the sign.
But yeah, I bring this burger over to the cashier and say, hey, they forgot to put bacon on my burger. And they flat out tell me that burger doesn't come with bacon. And so I point to the picture and I say that picture has bacon. And the cashier told me that it doesn't come with bacon. Fortunately, the manager was close by and started chewing this kid out. But, like, I was about to get angry, and I rarely do with this sort of thing.
Well, that's why you're fat, and I'm angry. I'm the one that does the angry. You do the fat.
And I remember another time I went to Burger King. It was shortly after this incident. I got a different burger because I didn't want to go through that nonsense again. And this was also a burger that was supposed to come with bacon. I get it, and there's just like little bits of bacon fragments on there. Like, they just took...
What, did the One Punch Man work back there and he was like punching the bacon into like individual, like, shrapnel?
What I imagine happened is whatever reservoir they used to hold the bacon, they were probably out and just picked up the last of the crumbs and hoped that I wouldn't complain. But I came over, and the picture, again, it's clearly overflowing with bacon. And I cannot abide by these bacon crumbs in there. And I go to the cashier and I say, is this really how much bacon it comes with? And they were about to tell me yes. And as far as I was concerned, if they had the balls to tell me that that was how much bacon it came with, then I was just going to leave it alone. And once again, this was a case where the manager happened to be coming by as I was making my complaint. And it turns out like the burger was supposed to have at least 3 full strips of bacon.
Not like one shredded,
It was
like fragmented.
Yeah, it was like they took 3/4 of a piece and just kind of broke it up into crumbles and sprinkled it on the patty like pixie dust.
Now, for a while I had no respect for Burger King, and it came about when, once again, I was out with our mutual friend, and we saw that they had the chicken tender crisp. It was the tender crisp bacon cheddar ranch burger. It was like, I like chicken, love bacon, and I like ranch. I wonder what all those taste like together. So me and my friend went to the Burger King, and oddly enough, we had this issue where it used to be that we had a decent amount of Burger Kings in Corpus back in the day. Then when I was in high school, they all fucking vanished overnight. They all just closed down. Every last one.
Yeah, I was actually working at Burger King shortly before that happened, and basically some of the owners had done something illegal and were out of funds to keep the stores open. And so they had to shut down, and then just like the franchise, when they had the chance, they brought more back. But
yeah, but there was like, God, how many years were they just gone?
At least 1.5, maybe more.
I remember it being more than that. The rumor I heard in high school was that one of the franchisees, like the owner of like the franchise here in town decided that he could make more money if he just didn't give any of the money to like the corporation. It's like I'll just keep it for myself. That way I can have more money. And like that sounds like something like a corpus stupid person would do. And then like the franchise came back. It's like not only are we going to sue you, but we're going to shut down all your stores so that you literally cannot pay us because you have no means of making money anymore.
Yeah, it might have been something like that. I don't know all the details. Just that.
But that was just a rumor. So like since you were actually working there up to that point, your explanation probably is better than mine. But while they were gone, our local chain Whataburger like bought up almost every single Burger King that had been abandoned, and like just expanded. They pretty much doubled their amount of like reach. And so for a while, when they finally came back, they were only back in one place, and that was downtown. It was next to where the American Bank Center is now, and it's
Yeah, that's the one I take a lot of issue with.
yeah, because man, those people seem to be real cocksuckers over there. I can imagine why you'd go over there because it used to be near the halfway house where you worked.
Yeah, sometimes when my wife would pick me up, we'd stop by there for breakfast or
And
dinner.
be reminded of like why you don't eat there normally,
Yeah.
or don't eat there when you have a choice. And
Yeah,
so,
well, I will give them this. I've never had a problem at breakfast.
maybe it's the crew.
Yeah.
So me and my friend are saying, "Hey, you want to get the tender crisp bacon cheddar ranch?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, I do." And so we went there. And the problem I have with downtown, the reason I primarily try to avoid it, like the Black Death, is because it's filled with all these one-way streets, and it's always under perpetual construction. So if you go down a one-way street, it is very likely that you won't be able to turn around and get back to a place until you've driven at least 8 miles.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm all the way out of fucking Island University, I still can't make a left turn.
And heaven help you if there's a concert going on around there. There's a place called Concrete Street. And
Which is right next to where you went.
yeah,
I imagine that was fun.
well, the police often close down several of the streets, and they always close down the street, the very street that I needed to get to work to. And they don't like coming to the window. They just want to try to shoo you off into the road, and I have to sit in my car like a jackass and wait for the police officer to finally come to me to yell at me, and then I have to explain to him, hey, I work at the halfway house down there, can you let me through? At which point I have to go half a mile an hour as a sea of concert idiots want to keep getting in front of my car, and, well, police are there, so I can't just run them over.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Fucking lost. And so, so that in mind, we go through the drive-thru, we get the burgers, and we head down a couple of blocks to an empty lot where we can park and eat the burgers. It's at this point that we just like we're hungry, so we crack open the wrapper and we take a bite. We both look at each other and like, what the fuck did we just bite into? We open up our burgers and realize that instead of the tender crisp bacon cheddar ranch, which has special sauce, it has ranch sauce, it has chicken, and it has bacon. And that's what we ordered. That's what we fucking paid for. What we got was regular burgers with regular hamburger patties and a fuck ton of mayo. Because apparently if you put enough mayonnaise, people will think it's a proper replacement for ranch. And the only reason that we didn't go back to that fucking Burger King was because we were physically incapable of doing so because of the one-way streets and all the fucking construction. It would have taken us a good hour to make our way back. We're like, let's just eat our fucking shitty burgers and fucking go home. Because fuck Burger King, fuck the king, he needs to be taken down and his head put on a fucking pike, that cocksucker. The revolution's coming.
So, as proven by the last few moments of this video, we will not be endorsing Burger King, nor will they endorse us.
Well, at least not that one in particular. I've had better experiences with other Burger Kings. There's still some issues I have with them. But like,
You know, when I was a kid, I loved Burger King. I don't know what happened on my journey as an
my
adult.
parents never really took me to Burger King when I was a kid.
When I was younger, I used to love those long tube sandwiches of theirs that were with the chicken. But I probably ended up going to Burger King a lot because when I was a kid, for some reason, I didn't like hamburgers. It wasn't until I was in fifth grade that I started eating hamburgers and enjoyed them. But before that, I actually hated hamburgers.
That really screws up things for your parents. When I was a kid, my favorite thing was chicken nuggets. So one of my favorite places to go was McDonald's because I loved the chicken McNuggets. Nowadays, pretty much every fucking place has their own variation of nuggets.
Yeah.
Burger King's got their nuggets, which are actually pretty fucking cheap. So that's like one of the reasons we go there as often as we do.
Yeah.
And like, it's nuggets. It's hard to fuck that up. I'm sure eventually they'll find a way, but in the meantime,
I've had some bad nuggets. Particularly from McDonald's. Like, they're better now. But when I was young, there used to be weird, like, chicken gristle that I would find in there all the time.
my issue was I miss the old ones because I don't remember if I got chicken gristle, and I've had times where I've gotten chicken gristle now. But back in the old days, I used to be able to get dark meat. So one thing I used to do, and I'll probably talk about more later, that used to actually make my parents go crazy because they hated it so much. They hated it so much they actually wanted to hit me because of it. I used to disassemble my food. I would take it apart. If I got a burger, I would eat the lettuce. I would scrape it off and eat it by itself. I would eat the tomatoes by itself. I'd eat the pickles by itself. And then I'd eat the meat. And sometimes I'd eat the bread because of the condiments on it. But if it was just dry, plain hamburger bun, I might just leave it. Or I would just pick it apart and eat it little by little. My parents really hated the way I ate pizza because I'd pick off all the toppings and I'd rip off the cheese. And then I would take my fingernails and I would scrape the puffy bread with tomato sauce. So that all you had was the very burnt, well, not the very burnt, but like the very bottom. Like,
Well, this is
part
quite
of
this.
the
You might
crust.
have had very burnt crust at the bottom.
Well, like we got Little Caesars a lot, so yeah. And like all I would have left is like the crust and like the very very bottom part of like the pizza that acted as like just the part that made the contact with the pan, and like all the other parts of the bread had been like essentially peeled off. And when my parents saw me doing this, it must have been like you're like how you are with like people smacking their food or smacking their lips. It's like it drove them up the wall to no fucking end.
Well, I could actually see that because I have a friend, and there was one time he got high from being at a concert, just drugs in the air, and he decided to eat a burger like that, and he was so amused by having done that that he claimed this is how he ate his food all along and just started doing it as a habit. But this is not actually true because I had eaten with him on several occasions before. We had been kicked out of buffets together. I knew the way he ate his food, and this was not it. But he wanted to insist that, and it looks really pretentious. And
Back when I was a kid, that was not a word. Or at least it wasn't a word that was used.
yeah. Well, for a kid, it just looks like a messy eater. As an adult, it makes you look pretentious.
My parents just wanted me to be normal. That's the thing. They wanted me to be a quiet, boring, normal, orthodox child. That's all they ever wanted out of me.
Well,
And they completely didn't. They fucking lost that bet. They were shit out of luck on that end.
horse was dead on arrival.
But as I was the same way with McNuggets. I used to peel the breading off the McNuggets individually and then eat them. And the thing is, it was like presents for me. Because back in the day, you peel off like the breading, and if it was a white meat, you'd be like, oh, it's a white meat. White meat generally tended to be drier. So I dip it in my dipping sauce, which was either barbecue or sweet and sour sauce. And but sometimes you get the jackpot. You'd get the dark meat. Dark meat was juicy, spongy. You could literally squeeze.
You're doing word rapey with food.
I am not.
You
it
are.
Was good. It was fucking.
There you go.
Good.
Good. That's a word that you could use. That's not food rapey.
And I'd take little bites out of it so I could enjoy every little bit of it. I would eat it slow, and it was the best. Now they say it's like, we're making our chicken nuggets more healthy by only using white meat. Fuck you! If I wanted healthy, why the fuck do you think I'd be going to McDonald's in the first fucking place? It's the last place you fucking go when you want healthy.
Yeah,
You'll go to the heart attack grill before you go to fucking McDonald's if you want healthy.
You have crossed the threshold, sir. The healthy is not an option.
So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and cut it off for now. I think we've reached a good amount of time.
Yeah. This one, probably going in the private stock folder, but hey, we need the practice. And, if you become a high enough level Patreon, maybe we'll send you some of these private stock sessions.
So don't go pig-hating off shit yet. You're getting ahead of yourself. Anyway, we'll be getting back to you guys later, assuming you ever hear this. This is Fat and Angry signing out.